everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name's Alexa and I post curly hair videos weekly. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss when I post my next video. So I'm actually so excited for today's video because I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So it's going to be a how to start your curly hair journey, and it's going to be really raw and real and just things that I wish I could have known before when I first started my journey. Like, if I could go back to like 5 years ago, I wish I could tell myself all of these things because they will be so helpful and they would have encouraged me more to start my journey. And you don't necessarily need to be starting your curly hair journey to be watching this video. Maybe you're in the middle of it, maybe you're 3 months in, maybe this is like your second year. I'm also going to be including some really helpful tips and like little hacks and secrets. So the first thing, this is something everyone knows. When you're going to commit to your curly hair journey, you need to throw away your straightener, your blow dryer, anything that will give a lot of heat to your hair and damage it. When I first started my journey, I gave my straightener to friends and family, and I gave my blow dryer away because I remember the first few months when I started my journey, I still had those things, and once or twice I was tempted to use it and I did use it, and I just feel like that put me 2 to 3 steps back from where I started. And also, hair dye, relaxers, just don't do that. If you're planning to dye your hair, like literally just don't go to Walmart, don't go to Target, and don't buy a box dye because that's gonna set you back. When I first started my journey too, that's something that I was doing. I did bleach my hair once and that literally put me a lot of steps back too. I do think it's really helpful when you're starting your curly hair journey just to let your natural hair grow out. So that's something that I did. It did look weird for a couple of months because I had like some color here that was totally different from what was growing in, but in the long run it was so worth it. So I do have like a lot of tips that I wrote for you guys here on my phone, so that's why I'm gonna be looking at my phone. So the next thing that I have here is learn about your hair porosity. So in order to do a hair porosity test, the easiest way to do it will be with a strand of your hair and put it in a cup of water. But you do need to make sure to clarify your hair. Your hair shouldn't have any buildup because then this will kind of give you wrong results. So make sure you clarify your hair, you wash it, and then when your hair is clean, try to pull like a piece of hair from the back, something that's not noticeable, just one strand, and fill a cup up with water and just put your hair in there, sink it in, and let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, and then it will eventually flow. If you have low porosity hair, if you have high porosity, it'll go all the way down. And this will be really helpful because hair porosity will play really well when you style your hair. If you have low porosity, it means that your hair doesn't take moisture in really well. So like, let's say if you go shower, you come out, your hair is gonna start drying right away, and curly hair tends to love water a lot. So that's something that I highly recommend. Just look into that and learn your hair's porosity. So the third tip that I have here for you guys is to look into different styling techniques. So this is something that I didn't do and I just didn't know about. So I was struggling with my curly hair when I first started, and some of the styling techniques that I know now is like finger coiling, using the Denman brush because it motivates your curls to form and it gives you some type of shape. I know when you're first starting your curly hair journey, your curls aren't exactly there, so they might be a little bit straight in some places, and that might discourage a lot of people from continuing. So if you do finger coil, that will make your curls more uniform and it will help a lot. And if you use the Denman brush, I do have a video on how to use the Denman brush, and I just feel like that technique will help you guys a lot. You can use the Denman brush and that will help encourage your curls to form and it'll make them look really nice. There's also a lot of different other techniques that you can use when styling your hair, like plopping, raking, praying hands method, and a million other techniques. I feel feel like when you do raking, that can really help with your curl formation too. When you do praying hands, that can like really help seal the cuticles. That way moisture can be retained in your hair, and it'll help a lot with curl definition too. So there's also a lot of different methods and techniques that you guys can do that will help encourage you more just to be consistent with your curly hair journey, and just not to, because like that happened to me so many times. I was starting and I was like, oh my god, like my curls, these don't look the way I want them to look like yet, and I used to go back to the straightener and it was just a really big mess. So the fourth thing that I have here on my list for you guys is to learn about deep conditioners. So when I first started my curly hair journey, I didn't know a lot about deep conditioners because I used to straighten my hair a lot, and I feel like, well, me, when I used to straighten my hair a lot, I didn't really care about my hair's health. But when you do have curly hair and you're letting your natural hair show, it just like your hair's health tends to show a lot. So I feel like when you straighten your hair, it kind of covers everything up, but when your natural hair is there, it just shows every little thing. So learning about deep conditioner is really important. There's two different types of deep conditioners. There can be protein deep conditioners and moisturizing deep conditioners. So protein deep conditioners help your curls bounce back, and they fill in the holes and the gaps in your hair. That's why those types of deep conditioners are really helpful. I didn't know much about protein when I first started my curly hair journey, and I feel like if I did know about them, that would have helped me a ton. And then moisture deep conditioners is like when your hair is dry and parched. So we all know that curly hair loves moisture, and if your hair isn't moisturized, it is going to be really, really frizzy. So doing deep conditioners weekly or even 2 to 3 times a week is crucial. This is something that I didn't do too, and I regret it a lot, and I just wish I would have known all of this. I do recommend, if you're starting your curly hair journey, to deep condition your hair at least 2 times a week. Now that my hair is really, really healthy, I do it once a week and sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on how my hair looks. And protein deep conditioners, I tend to do those like monthly. And also another thing you guys should learn about is protein overload and moisture overload. So sometimes we can give too much moisture to our hair and it's just not going to look good. It's gonna look really, really limpy. And if you give your hair too much protein, it's gonna look limpy too. So we need to learn what our hair wants and what our hair needs. I always like to think about curly hair like a plant. We always need to feel it, look at it, and just see how it's reacting to different products. And of course, when you're starting your curly hair journey, I feel like it's all about trial and error. From the very beginning, you're not gonna know what your hair likes, so you will be doing a lot of like experimenting with different products and just learning what your hair likes. And one thing that I think will be cool is if you take pictures of how your hair looks like with different products, maybe make an Instagram account or something, or just make a file on your phone. That way you can see how your hair is reacting to different products, and you can also see the progress that you're making. One of my favorite deep conditioners when I did start my curly hair journey was from Shea Moisture. It was their Jamaican black castor oil. I feel like that deep conditioner has a good balance of moisture and protein, so it's a really amazing balance. And I know right now a lot of people are in love with Olaplex. They usually have those at Sephora, and I recently saw that they have like a trial kit of Olaplex for I think $25, and I think that kit is really, really good if you guys are going to start your curly hair journey or you want to improve your hair's health, because I believe it brings the Olaplex #3 treatment. It brings the shampoo, conditioner, and I think a styler sample, because I know the actual Olaplex bottle can be really, really expensive. And also another thing that I want to mention is Sephora gives a lot of samples, and sometimes I go to Sephora and I go to the hair section, I look at the deep conditioners, and since a lot of them can be really, really pricey, and sometimes I don't know if I want to commit to it, I tend to ask one of the sale associates at Sephora for a sample. They usually fill up like 5 little jars, and that gives me a good opportunity to test the product, and then I know if I want to commit to it and buy it. So another thing that I want to mention is sometimes when we deep condition, our hair might have a lot of buildup in it from other products, so the deep conditioner might not react well. So usually what I like doing if my hair has a lot of buildup is I like going in with an apple cider vinegar rinse, or I like using a clarifying shampoo just to make sure I remove all of the buildup from my hair, and then I use the deep conditioner. That way I know it is going to saturate my strands and give me the nutrients that it's supposed to. The next thing that I have here on my phone is to try your best to not use sulfates or silicones when you're starting your curly hair journey. If you buy a shampoo that has sulfate in it, that's going to strip your hair's natural moisture, and that's something that we really want in our hair, especially when starting your curly hair journey, just because it motivates your hair to grow faster and it allows your curls to flourish and look really, really pretty. And also when you're starting your curly hair journey, try not to use silicones, because silicones, it's like a barrier in your hair. It does make your hair look really, really shiny and pretty, but it's like this like fake shine, and it's all like a lie. It's not a shine that's real. When you use a conditioner or any styler that doesn't have silicone, it's going to show your hair's actual health. And like, let's say if you go in with a deep conditioner with silicones, and then when you come out of the shower, you are going to style your hair and you're going to use something really, really nice for your hair. Sometimes the product will not go in correctly just because there's a silicone barrier, and you might be like, oh, like this isn't working, why did I buy this? That's because your hair has silicone in it. So try your best not to use silicones, because we do want your natural hair to flourish. So another thing that I do want to mention is a lot of people recommend the big chop when they're transitioning into their like natural curly hair, just because it is getting rid of all of your dead hair. When I first started my curly hair journey, I didn't want to do the big chop just because honestly I wasn't confident to have really short hair. There's a ton of girls that do that and they look gorgeous, but I was just not confident. So my hair, when I started my curly hair journey, it was up to my elbow, but it was like dead hair, it was fried, and it just didn't curl. And what I did is I cut half of it like up to my chin. And yeah, that's what I did. I cut it shorter. When I did that, I did notice that my hair grew faster, it looked better, and plus I just cut off all of the dead damage. So what you can do is just cut your hair slowly. You can cut your hair every like 3 to 4 months. That way you don't have to cut all of your hair off. And you can also learn how to cut your own hair at home. I have a video on that. There's like different cutting techniques like dusting and trimming. I do know that curly haircuts can be really, really expensive. I know a lot of places that charge $120 for just a trim, and we all don't have that much money to be doing that like 3 times a year. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube that I find to be really, really helpful on how to cut your hair at home. But of course, let's say when you're first starting your curly hair journey and you're gonna cut off a lot of it, and maybe you do want like a desired shape or cut, you can go to an actual stylist. But after that, you can just trim your hair at home because you're going to have the desired shape that you have. So that's something that I wish that I knew, because I didn't cut my hair that often and I was getting a little bit discouraged at the beginning. Another thing that I want to mention is everyone doesn't have the same hair as you. We might look at all of these girls on Instagram and they promote one product and we're like, oh my god, we need to get that because like I want my hair to look like that. That's something that I used to do, and then I used to put the product on my hair and my hair looked terrible, or it didn't look the same, and I was a little bit discouraged. So when you first start your curly hair journey, it's all about trial and error, as I said before. So you do need to experiment with different products. Make sure to learn about the ingredients. There's really awesome websites like Naturally Curly and other websites that you guys can go to for advice and just learn about hair ingredients. I found that when I learned about like ingredients in hair care products, that changed the whole entire game for me, because I started to like go to Target, read the back and I'm like, okay, my hair doesn't like that, so this product is not for me. So you do need to learn what type of products your hair likes. Like your hair might like honey, because honey is like a natural humectant, so it's gonna attract moisture into your hair. So maybe next time you go to Target, read the ingredients. And of course, when you start at first, you don't know what ingredients your hair likes, so try to pick up different products. You can always buy like the little trial sizes. A lot of brands are starting to do that. They're selling like little trial sizes of their products, so I find that to be really helpful. I feel like back then when I started my curly hair journey 5 years ago, a lot of brands only had like the actual size and not the trial size. And as I said, you can always go to Sephora. They always give samples, so just ask and don't be scared, because it's a free like miniature size of something. It's also a good idea to use different products different ways, because you don't know what your hair likes exactly. Like maybe your hair might like a curling cream pair up with a mousse, or a curling cream paired up with a gel, or even a gel by itself, or a gel and a mousse. There's just a lot of different combinations that you guys can use, and at the beginning that's something that you should experiment with just to see what your hair likes. So one thing that I've like found fascinating recently, especially since we're in quarantine right now, is I like to play with like half and half, with like half of my hair. So let's say one half I just put the curling cream, and then on the other side I go in with the gel and the curling cream just to see what my hair likes best. Also, another thing is we don't know if our hair is going to like a lot of product or a little bit of product. So sometimes we might go overboard and just put a whole bunch of like cream on our hands and put it on our hair, and our hair might get weighed down and look really limp, versus if we just use a little bit of product. And oh my god, I do need to mention this because this is something that I didn't do before. It's something that I probably started doing a year or two ago, and this literally changed the whole entire curly hair game for me. Is when you style your hair, don't style all of it together. Do sections. Do like 4 to 6 sections, because what I've learned is like just treat your hair good and just treat every strand like it's like the strands on top, because every strand matters at the end of the day. So what I like doing is putting my hair in like 6 sections, and that's how I style it. I rake the product through, and I've noticed that helps my curls to get defined more. Again, when you're deep conditioning your hair, just don't put like the deep conditioner all over your hair. Try to section your hair out into 4 sections. When I started doing that, it just changed the whole game, because when you're just applying deep conditioner all over your hair, you're not getting to every strand. Trust me. If you do part your hair into sections, it's like giving a lot of nurturing to your hair. There's another thing that I want to show you guys. This is something that I didn't know, and this is if you are a person that likes to cocktail products together. So what I mean by cocktail is when you like using a hair cream from another brand with a leave-in from another brand. I'm gonna show you guys something right now. So I'm just going to show you guys something really quick. This is something that I used to do a lot when I first started my curly hair journey. I like to cocktail a lot of products from different brands, and I'm sure a lot of them weren't in good combination because my hair didn't turn out good. So there's 2 things that you guys can do just to make sure that those 2 products go well together. I'm going to start off with 2 products that don't go together. So this is what you can do. You can take some on your hand. So I took some of this OGX product, and then I'm going to use some of this Aussie product. So just take a little bit, because we don't want to waste product here too. So here we have 2 different products, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine them and mix them in together. Okay, you guys see what's happening here? Do you guys see all of those little dots? It looks really mushy. So this just doesn't go well together. So if you put this on your hair, it might make your hair really limp. It might not define your curls, and your hair is probably not going to look good. So let me just show you guys that again. So what I did now is I took two other products. I took this Not Your Mother's product, and I took the same Aussie product that I use with the other product that I showed you guys. And I mixed both of those products in my hand. Okay, so now look at how this looks like when you're mixing it. It looks beautiful. It looks really, really smooth and pretty. So this combination will probably make my hair look really, really nice versus what I showed you. So that's something that we definitely want to test out when experimenting with different hair brands or different products. So this is another thing that I didn't do when I started my curly hair journey. Is I used to kind of style my hair on hair that wasn't wet, so my hair was pretty dry, and I used to be like, oh, like, why isn't this working? And it was because I wasn't styling my hair on wet hair. So this is something that I actually did for a really long time. I just didn't have my hair soaking wet when styling. I probably started doing this 2 years ago, and when I started doing that, that changed the whole entire game for me. I find to be really helpful is having the spray bottle, and what's really amazing about this spray bottle versus another spray bottle is that this has a continuous mist. So let me show you guys that really quick. You see how that continues? Literally, it continues. So I used to have a regular spray bottle before, and my hand used to get really tired just because I had to like be there like pumping a million times and barely any water came out. So this is something that I wish I would have invested when I started my curly hair journey. Water is the key ingredient to curly hair. It's what's going to give our hair a ton of moisture. So we do want to make sure it's saturating, and it's also just going to drink up the product you're applying to it really well. So another tip that I have for you guys when starting your curly hair journey is to make sure to have at least one clarifying shampoo, one sulfate-free shampoo, maybe have a co-wash. And you can also make an apple cider vinegar rinse at home. When you're first transitioning, another great thing is to have a satin pillowcase or a bonnet or a satin scarf just to wrap your hair at night and just to make sure your hair is protected. So if you are using a cotton pillowcase and you just like go to sleep like that, that's going to damage your hair. It's going to give you frizz, and it is going to break your hair. So it's just better to have a satin pillowcase because that's softer on your hair. And when you go to sleep, also just to have longer wash days, just wrap your hair in a satin scarf, because that's another thing I used to do. I used to like wash my hair every single day when I first started transitioning just because I didn't have any of those things. So I used to go to sleep with my hair like that. The next morning I woke up, my hair looked like a disaster, and I used to step in the shower and just wash it again. So I don't really do a lot of protective hairstyles, but there's a ton of styles you can do. There's like braids, box braids, like just a lot of like beautiful braids that I see a lot of girls wear, and so many different styles that we can do. So if we do get bored of our hair, we can do something else. That doesn't mean we have to put heat into our hair. And also, don't touch your hair when it's drying. When our hair is drying, I know like I have a bad habit of touching it, but that's just gonna like give your hair more frizz. So just try not to touch it because we don't want that. So those are some of the tips that I do want to give you guys today. There's a million things that I can help you guys with, but I'll be here forever. One thing that I do want to remind you guys is, I know when we're starting our curly hair journey, it's really hard. There's people that can be really tough on us about it. They can judge our hair, and they're just gonna be a little bit confused because that's something that happened to me. I was someone who straightened my hair every single day, and once I started wearing my hair natural, I did get some like really mean comments from some people just telling me like, hey, like, why isn't your hair straight, or just judging me. So that did put me down a lot of times, and I was just really insecure at the beginning. But I did know that I wanted like really beautiful curls, and that's something that like I committed to. I first started my curly hair journey, I literally thought my hair was like wavy because that's what it looked like, but now it has these really beautiful ringlets to it. So just don't let people's comments get to you. Be really confident, and just know that 6 months from now or a year from now, your hair is going to look the way you want it to look. And yeah, I really hope these tips helped you guys out. These are just some things that I wish I knew when I first started my curly hair journey, and I really appreciate that you guys watched my video. And if you made it to the end, just make sure to like or just tell me a little bit about your curly hair journey in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are safe, and thank you so much. Bye.